shadows gather and the dark skies weep, the quiet saviors of Emon do not sleep. Defenders of Westrum, their banner unrolled, divine champions of prophecy foretold, stewards of vestiges, ancient and bright, they stand as a shield in the gathering night, foes of the betrayers bound by a vow. The aurora concordant is answering now, for the hero is found not in glory or crown, but in standing to fight when the darkness comes down. Through the fire and the thunder, the shadow and stone, they carry the light, so we walk not alone.
Okay, guys, welcome back. So good to see you all. Always a pleasure. All right. Last session, you guys, as usual, bamboozled me and all my plans. Um, though there was meant to be like two more super cool checkpoints with all kinds of crazy things to get over and around, you know, why do that when you could go and have a lovely dinner at Ember's private mansion for the first time? That's much more favorable than sort of mucking around and being violently assaulted by fucking terrorist dwarves. Um, but you guys, yeah, you had a great time seeing the inside of Ember's ring for the very first time. It was very cool. You got a good sleep. Flexing some new powers. Love to see it. And then you did indeed come to Emberhold itself. It is as much a prison, a willful prison, to those who reside within as it is to a fortress with those who approach from without. It has become quite apparent to the party the amount of paranoia, terror, hate, and fear that has allowed to run amok within this city towards all outsiders, thanks in no small part, undoubtedly, to the crawling king, their adopted patron god, and also similarly is equally probable, uh, the witness below, champion of Torog, both tormentor and ultimate tormentor, Kieran's, also known as Murder Sheila, or Hammer Sheila, excuse me. You arrived by the power of Red's fire immunity. You're able to travel through lava vents that run through the city, up and out, and we're able to see uh, a city that is as similar to a prison as ever. Houses that look more like steel cells, and you also indeed witnessed that they're in lockdown. A small child ran through the streets, crying in terror, and was quickly snatched up into a nearby house. For fear has come to Emberhold, adventurers have returned, where for last time their king and queen were assassinated. All of their fears and all of their terrors are manifest in you. So here you are. You have made a cave in one of the craggy cliffs above Emberhold in this sort of outer cavern wall, and you're taking some time to assess and decide your plan of entry and what to do next. So I will turn it over to you, Aurora Concordant. What is the plan?
I can do like a little pass without trace, like make it easier for us to be stealthy if we're really worried about my armor. I can slip into something quieter,
I'm
but
not.
that's
I'm.
about all I can do.
I'm not worried about the armor. It's mithril, and it's almost as good as cloth as far as that sort of thing is concerned. So, um, but we've got to. The first our priority is for Red to find us a ingress. Uh, because the number of us that can swim in lava is one.
Oh yeah, that's not
Uh,
my skill set.
so we've got to find an ingress point that isn't the main door because that's also right out.
Thank you for saying that. I don't think we can take the city.
Once we've got ingress, we have to have a a destination, and we've got zero idea where. Uh,
Do we know a name, an item? I changed my attunements. If I have something to focus on, I can give a direction, like not directions. I can say it's north by northwest, and if it's a labyrinth in between, that's on us to figure it out. But yeah,
uh,
that'll help.
well, we've got the name of the hammer itself, or will it let you people focus?
Yeah, but the person has to be reasonably still. Like moving about a room is one thing, but moving about a city, not so much. And in truth, I haven't actually used the spell. So, it'll be a first time. But in theory, an object that is relatively still, not in transit, or a person who's like in a room, I can tell you what direction they are. So long
Well,
as they're on the same plane.
I don't think Hammer Sheila is likely to be just wandering around. Uh, if she's here, then she's going to be someplace important and not going to places that aren't important.
Okay.
So
I also
I would
know
think that
the
that would perhaps
do we know the name of
perhaps
The
the king also has a weapon.
yes.
Do you know the name of
And
it?
ultimately, yes, we do. That's ultimately the reason that we're here.
on the way, I'm just getting it out, but I'll tell you what it is because you guys learned it from your dwarven guide. Um, this city is ruled by an absolute monarch. The current king of Embers is the wrathful king Thangruel II.
Yeah, so I have to concentrate on it. So I can give us a dot, but if I have to concentrate on anything else that's more important, I will lose it. And it's sort of a once a day sort of thing. tell me what to focus on. I'll find it. Maybe between me giving vague ideas and red TV, we can not have to take the entire city. Fingers crossed.
Oh, taking the entire city is not even reasonably prudent. Shy of full scale genocide, and we're not in that business.
No.
In fact, we're exactly not in that business. That's their business.
Yeah. All right. When the time comes, tell me. Tell me what I'm looking for.
Well, the first things first is we've got to find an ingress because we can't take the path that Red took to get in.
Oh, he is so dapper.
So I guess that's the first order priority, Ryan, is to leverage Red and remote viewing to to find a chink in the armor, you know, a smokestack that's not in use, a something, whatever that something may be.
Okay. I shall tell you what. Um, why don't, because this is going to be pretty much a Team Ember initiative, because you have the scout, we see through the scout's eyes. So, um, I will say, why don't you roll either or? It could be an investigation for you or Red. I assume you'll probably want to take it. And because you're working together, I'll give you advantage. So your familiar is providing the help action or vice versa.
Okay, yeah,
Depending on,
well,
yeah.
Guidance.
Guidance, very nice. Excellent.
well, that's an excellent place to start. Two, that'll be a 31
Woo! Well
because
done,
I rolled
Len.
a nat 20 plus 9 plus Drystrand's 2 for find us a door.
Well, I'll tell you guys what. It has become very apparent to this group that Emberhold has been built with one focus in mind. Keep adventurers out. So, on the difficulty class scale, 30 is considered a near impossible DC. If you're what you're trying to attempt is considered near impossible. Infiltrating Emberhold and finding a chink in the armor after 20 years of, building, rebuilding, finding their own chinks in their armor, rebuilding on that, so on and so forth. I would certainly say that what you're attempting and what you succeed at is indeed nearly impossible. Um, there is a great deal of time. I don't think it's instantaneous, however.
Oh yeah.
Um, I think Yvaine, Kiro, and Drycerin, you guys get a little fire going and cook some marshmallows or read a book or whatever. And in fact, it's probably a matter of maybe not maybe a couple hours, maybe 2 or 3 hours of looking around. And with that, there will be information about what you see along the way. But I will tell you this first and foremost: the result of your request. You find a point of ingress. Now, largely the reason I'm actually not considering this impossible is because you mentioned in your description of what you were looking for the point of ingress, the smokestacks. Now, most certainly an adventurer couldn't fit through there. Couldn't fit through there, and I think Red goes through and sees like a number of grates, like series of grates through every single one of them. But just because they're getting ready for adventurers as a whole doesn't mean they know all of the specific little tricks that they possess, including being able to enter into a small, tiny piece of ring-sized jewelry and possibly fall down like a coin, or move through down with a coin with a familiar that could turn into smoke. These things are built to relieve smoke from the city, and thus you think it's just maybe possible you can find one that is um, maybe I don't want to say chewed through because that implies negligence on their part, and they are certainly not negligent. Um, but the grate is just wide enough you think your ring could fit. And with Red's aid, being able to sort of like, pry it through and everything, I think you could get through.
Okay. So that's the inn. So once we have the inn, I think the next question is there a place internal that we could camp scout like we are from here, or is it too busy to, no place that's particularly appears particularly out of the way?
Um, well, I will tell you what, because I've got I got a lot of information on the city. So I'll tell you what you have seen in your several hour investigation, trying to find your way, this and that.
Okay.
Um, I'll start with the basic stuff. First and foremost, um, civilians are not on the street. Um, they're all sealed up tight in their homes. Um, the place is there are no long shots of hallways. Like the longest you'll find is like maybe a block, but there's never you can never see longer than a block at any given point. The place has been very specifically made to give tight sightlines. This is not an archer or mage's ideal sort of situation. There's a lot of twists and turns by its very nature. It's very much built on like a sort of like a sectional grid, if you will. It seems to be that all the buildings were such. Um, uh, you would have spent most of your time looking around the lower city, which I'm just trying to find information on. Let's see. Uh, now, so half a second. I got a lot of info. I'm kind of sifting through it a little bit. September's. So, okay, I think I found here. Okay. Okay, here we go. So yeah, the roads are like largely set. There are no ringing bells. There are no this and that. Patrols move around. Uh, there's plenty of patrols that move up and down the roads in their deliberate curves. Um, Corners are blind. You see that there are inspections. People are going like these guards are going door to door and doing inspections of homes. Um, it very much feels like in every way martial law. where guards are showing up at people's door and just like entering inside their homes and looking around, whether people are completely accepting of this or disgruntled by this. Either way, it happens, and people are looking around inside homes. But again, long range spell casting, sniper fire, cavalry. This is no place for that. Um, Full of intersections. Um, I would say the majority of events that you're finding um, are probably coming from like some kind of like warehouse or foundry based districts, um, in which you could probably find like a touchdown there to be sure. Like I said, the places have been like industry is everything other than the essentials has basically stopped, and everybody's been sent home, and everyone's been locked up, and anyone who can bear arms is out on the streets in tight militaristic patrol. So I would say with your smokestack idea, yeah, they wouldn't be expecting that, and you could definitely get sort of like a um, let's call it a staging point.
Okay. Okay. So an ingress, an early stage, an FOB. We gotta have a destination. What?
Oh, well, I want to give you just one more little chunk of information that might be interesting. Red's going up, looking for entrances and exits with smokestacks. So you have not explored down very much, but it is very apparent that this city is vertically based. And there are tons of chain based like elevators that can move like entire companies and soldiers up and down and through Emberhold. The longest spans you get, um, other than the neighborhoods, are bridges that go above like lava flows, that you suspect are entirely trapped. So that is worth noting. You see tons of chain moving bridges and elevators that move between like layers, essentially. Let's call it.
In the process of looking, does it look like the better built places are higher in the stack or lower in the stack?
Um, I You rolled really well. I'll say you went down like one layer. It wasn't because just in case there might have been like an ingress point lower, but you're like going too low is not going to be helpful at all because that's when you get beneath lava level and you're like that's just not. It's just going to get harder. It's clear. Security gets tighter the lower you go, most certainly. Um, while it is certainly tight up top, there's no exit points because now you're in like you're basically in a giant city tube surrounded by lava. Um, and things get tighter there. So I would say like if we're going by like a slummy to palace district, you're probably getting the palace is probably underground. It's probably the lower
Okay.
you go. You're probably in the like barracks soldiery district here up on the first layer, where this is basically built. Everyone who lives here exists to maintain the defense, the exterior defense,
Okay.
soldiers and their
So
families.
down is down is the down is the direction.
Down is the
Uh,
direction, absolutely. It's probably like it's probably like soldiery up top, and you're not going to know the mix, but then you're probably going to get to like the larger residentials, and then you're probably going to get to the upper scale, which probably surrounds the palace, which is probably you don't know, but if you had to put a wild guess on it, you bet the palace is like at the absolute bottom, most fortified point.
well, if I'm a paranoid ruler, that's where I'd put it.
Yep, yep, exactly.
I put as many of you fuckers between me and everybody else as I can manage.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I just keep throwing things at you because there's a lot of defenses here. Another one you're going to note is that it looks like entire districts can be locked down and sectioned off from the rest of the city. Um, so it looks like if you guys were to like ingress and make a lot of noise, they could probably like contain you guys within, or attempt to anyway, contain you guys within a district and just lock down the district and kind of write off anyone living there.
Okay, dokie.
Yeah. So each neighborhood slash district is surrounded by like thick walls and like not even portcullis, like gated walls.
Okay.
How do we stop How do we stop Vox Machina if they come back? Has been the question.
Well, it's a good thing we're the Aurora Concordant.
So yeah, to be very clear, layer one is the gate fortress. Layer two was like the silent residentiary where like people were getting door to door and everything like that. Yeah. But I will digress. You do have your point of entry, and if you slipped through and got out of your ring, you think you would have you wouldn't be jumping into the fire, so to speak.
Okay. Once we're inside, we aren't going to have to react immediately, but we're going to have to move with some speed and buckets of caution like you wouldn't friggin' believe. And the enemy's gate is down.
We keep going farther into underground.
Mhm.
Why are all of our enemies like this?
Because they know we hate coming here.
No, it's just where these particular folks live, and they were already marginally insane, and they've not been getting useful outside help.
So what's the plan to help with that? Assuming they don't try to lob our heads off immediately.
Oh, no, please understand. If they
Dragon
see
choice.
us, that will be exactly their plan. Immediately, if not sooner.
So what's the plan?
When we hit the ground, I'm going to cast a spell. It will, so long as I focus on it, it will uh, allow us to move quite a bit stealthier. Above table, it's a +10.
Right. Right.
So then what? Are we stealing the hammer and then just leaving these people to their devices?
Oh, I bet you it's not going to be. I bet you it's not going to be that easy.
Oh, I have a feeling it's going to be a great deal harder.
I hadn't
But
even thought of it, to be honest with you.
but if these people have any chance of being rehabilitated, freed in whatever
We
capacity that takes.
we can't undertake that burden.
Okay.
Flat out, we can't undertake it. We don't have the cultural or personal charisma to make that a viable option. They have centuries of paranoia and a schism from the rest of the dwarves that, frankly, I don't well understand. If there is any hope of that, it's outside of our ability to do.
If we could not set the place on fire or put it under lava, it would be better if there's ever a hope of some sort of reconciliation. But I may be able to
I'm
plant some seeds, but that's the best we are going to be able to do is to plant some
I
seeds.
I'm not even convinced that
I know. I agree.
perhaps they can change.
You have to believe that, yeah.
But also, we're down here because there are people in Whitestone that people in this city are coming for. And they can think whatever they want of us, but Whitestone's counting on us. So, I'm not saying that we raise their city to the ground. What I'm saying is,
That's also outside of our ability to do or control. Shy of trying to draw a gigantic swimming lava dragon this way.
I'm
Oh
not saying
yeah, we don't want it. We
I,
do not want that smoke.
I'm not saying we destroy anything. What I'm saying is, if we're going to get that hammer in whatever capacity we're going, we might as well grab some things on the way out so at least Whitestone can begin to mount a defense.
I think you
We
mean
owe them
Western.
that much. Western, sorry. We owe them that much.
I wonder how far we are from Western. I have no understanding where we are on the map right now.
So you guys are under Craghammer. Craghammer is definitely closer to Terra than to Whitestone, but at this depth and with how long these guys have been down below, they probably have a pretty good understanding of like maybe even arguably better than Craghammer because they're closer to the surface. Um, these guys, have probably traveled through the underways and made their way up under Westwind. But you guys are pretty deep under the earth. You're many hundred miles under the earth. So you're, um, I believe it's been quoted to be something like considered to be like in the heart of Tal'Dorei. So you guys are, yeah, pretty deep.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So if they go up on an angle, they can reach pretty much anywhere.
I didn't even think about it. Okay, oh, all right, yeah. Yeah, so, oh, fuck.
I mean, it would take centuries to navigate all of these pathways, but
They've had centuries.
they've had centuries, and more than that, they have the armies to go out and conquer the underways, which is what the dwarves of Craghammer told you they've been doing is sending armies out, and one of them at least is headed for Westwind because you've seen them do their probing strikes against Westwind with the worms.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is anything we can do to keep them from doing that to Western or anywhere else.
well, and that ultimately means take the hammer, which is a symbol of power and control for the leader. Perhaps decapitate the leader. And if Sheila is available, put her in a hurt locker and bury her unalive.
I imagine an intelligence officer of the Deurgar being like, they're speaking in code, they're talking about someone named Sheila, and something about a hurt locker, and I can't understand them. These guys are good.
I've just the thing for the abbess.
Got a couple. All right.
So I'm assuming, Ryan, that the chain-based elevators, much like the street design, are at best one tier, and then it's some horizontal travel before you get to another one that goes down a tier, and then
Yeah.
again
Oh,
more
yeah.
lateral movement
Yeah.
because
It's definitely
that's
not one elevator per layer. It's not like just one elevator going. They definitely have like multiple elevators to be utilized, and they're certainly big enough to move like entire companies of soldiers around. Like hypothetically, like you're looking at it and you're going, hey, hypothetically, they find us in this district, and while we're fighting the first wave, they drop the borders down, and while we're thinking about what to do, they take their soldiers in the other district and go down to the second layer, meet up on the bottom, go onto the elevator that connects with your district, and send it up and come out and swarm you with elite warriors. And the warriors you've seen of them walking around the streets are definitely these stone guard guys who are easy enough to defeat the phalanx dudes. But there are many of these dudes who have been like grafted into like these metal bodies that are walking around inside of the city. It's clear they've deployed their like the big guns. They're like red alert. This is what we've been waiting for 20 years. Yeah, you guys are still rested. Okay. So you guys are a couple of hours. Yeah, you guys are about midday in, just so you know. You're probably like, you woke up, looked around, came over here, and Ember did a couple hours investigating. So you're probably around midday. Um, I don't remember what we said about it, but Yvaine, there was some talk about a scry last session. Did you have a scry in mind you wanted to do?
I was going to look for the princess.
Ah, gotcha. Yeah, you can give that a shot if you want.
Um, no, I'm going to wait. Uh, it takes a reasonably high level of spell energy,
Mhm.
and if we need that in combat, I would rather have it for that.
Fair enough.
use it now. We won't go
Yeah,
before tomorrow.
I was about to say, like, when you guys are in there, you're in there. So maybe you might as taking an information day or a scout day isn't the worst idea, yeah. If you wanted
All
to.
right, then yes, then I will scry for the princess.
All right, try to find the Princess of Emberhold, the daughter of the slain king and queen. I'm just gonna pull up Scry here really quick. Excuse me.
Quick question
Yeah.
to you. Actually, quick question to Yvaine, and then I have a follow-up question depending on what this answer is. Yvaine, being familiar with your target helps, right? Or
Yeah,
more familiar?
yeah.
If it helps, this is the chart. So it's all dependent on what you have of the target and your knowledge of the target. So if you know them secondhand, they're gonna get a +5 bonus to their modifier, try and resist. And there's no, it's not a conscious resistance either. It's just, roll. And then if you've met them firsthand, they get no bonus. If you have extensive and a deep knowledge of the target personally, then they get a -5 to their save. But you guys are probably not getting that unless you
If
actually meet the person. Yeah.
the reason that I asked that is because when we leveled up, I got contact other plane to use as contact patron. My follow-up question was going to be if I ask my patron about the princess specifically, would that give Yvaine more knowledge or would that help?
It would give her more knowledge, but I don't think it would improve her possibility of scry because
Okay.
the next one from first, so there's second hand, which means you've heard of them, and then there's first hand, which means you've just met them even in passing, and
Okay.
then extensive, which means like you know their deepest darkest secret.
Okay.
However, contact other plane is potentially equally valuable. This is an information day. It's divination time, baby.
I'll wait and I'll let Yvaine do her scry because then I might learn stuff to ask more specific questions. But yeah, I'll wait.
Very fair. Fair enough. Very, very fair. Okay, let's see. Um, okay. What is your modifier there, Yvaine? Or
Oh, let me
your
check.
DC. Your DC. Sorry, your DC.
My DC is a 20.
All right. Okay. DC. You see Yvaine take out her, I believe it's a mirror, I think is what you've got, Yvaine, right?
Yeah,
Um,
it's a beautifully crafted makeup compact.
very cool.
It's a gift from Zarborg.
Very nice. You pull out this beautiful ornate mirror, and you look into it, and you guys see Yvaine. Uh, we'll say, Yvaine, what happens to your eyes when you look into this? Do your eyes roll back into your head? They become like shrouded in starlight? Like what's the flavor of what happens to your eyes as you like disconnect from the here to travel into the there?
Oh, they absolutely become shrouded in starlight.
Very nice. Yvaine's eyes become like stars, and if anyone were to look into the mirror, you would not see Yvaine's reflection. You would see essentially an incredibly complex like orrery of the night sky, and see like stars spilled across the mirror's pane, but moving around them like almost like trying to find and navigate around, finding a perspective um, on the stars enough to find what she seeks, and sweat dribbles down Yvaine's forehead from the heat and the intensity of the difficulty of the spell, trying to find someone you vaguely know about. Um, and to your surprise, Yvaine, the stars align, and you push into and through them. And as they part ways, you are going to find. Give me half a second. I know what I'm telling you, but I want to be extra sure before, because when I speak, the lore is true. So I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm giving you the absolute.
Some of us take notes.
Yeah. What? This will perhaps be quite interesting. Uh, uh, yeah. Yeah. Maybe. Okay. Uh, no. have a little bit of a choice here. So bear with me. Okay. Oh, that's so many. Okay, sorry. We're 30 seconds away.
That's fine.
Little last minute about one of my choices. What we proceed. Yeah, you caught me a little off guard. I admit I didn't expect you to for this to work. Because it's very difficult to work, but you got a little lucky there, my friend.
Honestly, I didn't think it was going to work either. I was just in it for the bit.
But it did. It seems you're gonna get some pretty cool lore. Uh, okay. Yep, it's gonna have to be. Okay. There's only one real choice here. Yeah. Give me your rating. Almost there. It's fine. Okay. Okay. You are going to your sight enters into surprise, surprise, magma. There's a great flood of magma, and it is blinding to look at. But there is movement. There is almost serpentine-like movement. And then your sight comes up into this massive cavern that is illuminated by the lava. And it just sort of like almost like Godzilla rising from the water, how like it doesn't splash up as they rise like a dolphin or a shark or something, but just sort of flows off of a great form. And you see in precise detail what Ember was talking about. You see a dragon beyond anything of ancient scale. Something truly, perhaps millennia in age, rise up and out. Its entire form is easily bigger than Terra. Its head alone, as it rises up and out, could match an entire district of Westland. And it begins to move up and out. Its great neck seems to endlessly ascends up and out of the magma until its great body and wings large enough to blacken the skies over Amon come up and out. And as the lava pours off of it, you don't quite catch the color of the scales from the shadows. Not yet. But it lumbers into this underground cavern where no lava lies, no magma lies. And it moves through the cavern, which has clearly been eroded to make sure this creature's great size can move through. You even hear that as it brushes the wall, it's like a cheese grater moving along the side of the wall as these massive scales just rip tons and tons of stone from the wall in just a sheer bare glance of the wall as it makes its way up into a sort of like if this is the lava cavern that it emerged from, it goes up a tunnel and into sort of a new elevated cavern. And within this cavern is certainly big enough for its size and then some. And on a perch, there is what looks to be like meant for in comparison of size, like an insect, like a mouse at best. At grandest size, a mouse's like place of stay. Where there is a table, there is a bed, there is a seat, there is a great number of strange objects and things. The bed is made of hide from some unknown creature. And sitting at the desk, you see this Deurgar woman, maybe not considered an adult by dwarven standards, like 20 to 30, somewhere in there. And she's writing away at a desk. The great creature emerges from it, and it opens its mouth, and out falls one of these mechanical Deurgar onto the ground. A familiar one, in fact, by its wounds, but heavily lava-singed, but not to the point of complete destruction. Deurgar girl looks up and stands up, and with no girlish excitement about her, but with the academic interest of someone of scholarly nature and consideration, moves down a large, intentional, sort of winding set of stairs down to it, and looks at in shock at what she sees. She speaks in Undercommon first. She says, "This is one of the..." And then the great creature's voice, though low and gentle, fills the room like thunder. But it is but a whisper to this creature's great size. And it says, "You know enough Draconic to know that it says in Draconic," to her. And she kind of half rolls her eyes and nods and swaps to a Draconic that's more advanced than yours, fluent, but forced. It loses some of the certain nuances of the language you've heard from true dragons. And they begin to converse in Draconic. I'll ask for an insight check here to follow the conversation without the ability to fully interpret the dialogue.
Give me a moment while
Yeah,
I
yours.
pull up that thingy in the doodle. Okay. Oh, jeez. All right. Insight. Oh, not you.
Some guidance. Since I've been teaching
I'm going to
Yvaine
say you're
Draconic,
not fully aware of the vision going on, so you wouldn't know to time it, unfortunately.
I
But I'm
tried.
also not worried about Yvaine's ability to make an insight check, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's a 25.
Yeah, you will largely follow the conversation, though you don't you've been learning Draconic, so you're picking up words here and there.
I'm
Certainly
about
enough that you're.
3/4 of the way done to proficiency.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Very cool. So yeah, you're picking up a large portion of the conversation. But nonetheless, I'm gonna paraphrase. But you fill the blanks easy enough. She essentially says, like, is this one of the warriors of Emberhold? And he says, it is. And she says, and she's kind of like, you can see the disgust in her face. She goes, what great fools, something along those lines. And the creature says, fear can be easily manipulated. And she says, to this, she says, you underestimate how centuries of poison can erode even this tallest mountain. She shakes her head judgmentally and returns. It is at this point that you do see the wide fins of the head of the dragon. And this is not a dragon that looks too dissimilar to how Finch's dragon looked once. This is a brass dragon. And you can see the color reflecting from the lava light and whatever at this point. Now that she looks up at it, you see kind of through her eyes. He now unclenches his full jaw and drops some massive, what is but small in his mouth, some insectoid-like creature that is easily 3 times the size of her, but barely a mouthful to him, onto the ground as a retrieved dinner for her, perhaps. And he kind of shifts his massive weight to fall over, in which you hear the spill of trillions of gold pieces that he makes his bed of. Like literally, as he moves, it's like water in the ocean just spills in and around his massive wings and body. It's more electrum pieces actually than gold, but a wealth that would irrevocably change the nature of everything forever. Impossible to relocate unless you had tremendous powers to do so, but nonetheless. And it's worth noting, it's not only electrum and gold. You perhaps, Yvaine, might be interested in the many curios present. You see stacks of books that reach hundreds of feet high. You see what looks to be like shelves built into the cavern wall that hold relics from ancient destroyed civilizations inside. You might even catch the sight of maybe like a drow relic here or there. But clearly this is an individual that, while enjoys such things, there is magic lamps, weapons, lost treasures of ancient civilization, entire walls from ruins that have collapsed long ago that would be impossible for any one of you to carry, but easy for it. It's like a museum and the greatest vault in the world all at once. The Deurgar, jaded to all of this, returns to her seat and shakes her head, and he says, "You judge your people too harshly." And she says, "You tote Bahamut's word. He is a god of protection. And this is not protection. Why do you defend them? They are clearly evil and lost beyond all hope." To which the dragon replies, "Hope is only fully lost when people refuse to stand up for it. There are more gods than just the rigidity of my father, Bahamut. There are other gods." And then he starts to list gods and will say, Sarenrae is a god of fire, but she's a god of redemption. Avandra is the god of change. if she were here, she would see them changed in many ways. And again, the stubborn drow woman kind of waves her hand in the air. Um, and she says, and the Storm Lord would see them all burnt to the ground. And the dragon says, perhaps. And you feel the vision beginning to pull and fade. And says, your mother and father, and she'll say, they were fools. And that is where the vision fades and returns to you.
So as Yvaine's eyes go from being starry, I don't know if you could have looked behind over my shoulder and seen what Yvaine saw, but through it there would have been one point where she stopped breathing, as if she was desperately trying not to make a sound. She looked absolutely terrified. And then at one point in Draconic, you hear her say, praise Bahamut. And then you see her lean in like she has, like you've seen so many times when she's gotten excited about something in particular. And as she comes back, there's like a little, no. And the first thing she does is she looks up and she looks to Ember. He's a brass dragon. He's been raising her. She's alive and he's raising her.
Well, that's good and potentially useful.
I can attempt to contact her via a dream. Although that contact will largely be your dragon. I may contact him, and I will contact him because he's the size of Terra, Ember. I've never seen. I didn't know anything could be so large. I don't. Ooh. I'm glad he's on our side. But
You had an interest in dragon lore before. You may roll a nature check or a religion check if you wish.
Religion, I think. Give me a moment. They're kind of the exact same. What is that? 15.
15. It is entirely myth and conjecture, as there is no actual documented evidence that they existed, other than dreams and the spoutings of mad prophets at times. But there is a theory that the very first dragons may yet possibly still exist. And if they did, they would be the size of cities, and they would be known as Great Wyrms, for they are immortal beings that never stop growing. This creature may very well be one that has existed since before even the schism, the battle between gods and titans. This may be one of Bahamut's original children.
Yvaine conveys all of that in like an awed whisper. So sorry, I'm overwhelmed. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have to be honest with you, I didn't think that was going to work.
Well,
I half expected him to be worse than the people in Emberhold. I'm gonna be honest.
He spoke of kindness. He spoke with compassion. He spoke of Serenray and of Bahamut, de Vavandra. He spoke of change. I will dream to her, but I have no way. I have no he swam through magma. We can't go that way. Yeah? I mean Ember can, but like that's dreaming may be the only way to communicate with them until they decide they want to be communicated with. And
well, it's worth a shot, if only to ask the questions about how they would like us to proceed, given the current state of affairs.
right. Well,
Because I would cede action to her sovereign authority in the matter.
oh no, we have to do what we have to do.
I understand, but the way in which we do what it is that we have to do,
Yeah.
there are any number of options, and if there is one that he would prefer, then I feel obligated to take that into account. If you can make contact with her.
There's a possibility I can make contact with her. I definitely don't think I can contact the Great Wyrm. I'm certain.
Aim for targets that are less primordial.
Out of curiosity, how many hours away are you from being proficient in Draconic?
Let's see. So it takes 360, and I'm 3/4 of the way there. It's on my sheet, and I have to look, but I'm like at 275, 280 or something. I have to go back.
All right. I think Dreiser and Yvaine should make that a priority every morning, along with your dream protection casting. We're studying that from now on.
Yeah, it's clearly important. All right. Kiro, if you wanted to commune um with your patron, that is the information that I have. The only thing I would not have said to anything about, the only piece that that Yvaine would have kept to herself is the amount of gold. But that is the only thing she would have said nothing about.
Then I guess my question is, do we want to wait and see what they say? Because depending on what they say, that changes our approach.
I I I think whether we make that reach out or not, having some divine guidance to, hey, is this a good idea or a bad idea? might be handy.
Okay.
Yeah, a simple augury could serve that very well. What Ember just said, sure. If anyone had access to it.
I actually, if nobody else has any questions that they want to ask or they think we should ask, because what is it? It's I can't remember how many questions it is. I think it's three. It's 3 to 5. No, it's up to 5. Kiro has a couple questions, just like spiritually, religiously, that she's been meaning to ask. But she didn't just want to burn the spell, especially now if we needed it for important things. But if we're information gathering, she's got a couple questions to ask.
Oh, by all means.
Oh God. Oh boy. This is the first time I've cast a spell. Um if something's a ritual spell, it's a ritual spell, but it says it only needs 1 minute to cast.
Then it would cost you 11 minutes to cast.
Sweet. Sweet. So then she'll I think as much space as she can get just kind of in a corner by herself because Yvaine did bore this out of the side of a mountain. I think she just kind of goes off by herself because this is also the first time that she's cast a ritual spell and the first time that she's talked to someone in particular without being bathed in blood. So, oh god. She's gonna cast a spell and oh god. I have to make an intelligence saving throw?
Yep.
I think.
See if you don't go insane from interacting with the consciousness of a god.
Oh, wait, hold up. There's red writing at the bottom. I contact my patron and I automatically succeed on the saving throw. Never mind.
Very nice.
Thank God.
I
didn't know insanity was on the table today. I was
always on the table.
Ooh, I really should know that by now. Okay. No, so she contacts her patron. I don't know what the ritual would consist of because it's just verbal components. I think if anything, she takes out her notebook and flips to the page that has the Raven Queen's, like the drawing of the altar in Westron, just to kind of have as a symbol to focus on. And I think she just kind of sits by herself for a minute, not even thinking that it's going to work. Her first question, can the people of Emberhold be helped?
You find yourself in the presence of a god, and your pact has safeguarded you against the calamitous possible repercussions of brushing your mind against that of a god. And you say, can Emberhold be helped? This is the god of fate, and 1,000,000 fates flow not through you, but around and past you. Your pact protecting you from the immensity of that experience, seeing every possible fate that Emberhold could have in store. You see in the distance that there is a thread that has been picked by the Raven Queen. One that you cannot and will not be shown. Your question is, can they be helped? You understand that the Raven Queen knows what you mean by this. For of course an enemy can be helped. Of course you can decide to work with them. Of course, they can be helped in many ways. But you need, can they be saved? Anyone can be saved. I'll expand. Not all at once. You will not save this city from the crawling king in one night. You will not change decades of cultural terror in a week. But you can create a spark. You can light a flame. And you can wait for it to grow. You can pluck the strings of fate, if you will, and change their paths.
Would Western be safe if we tried?
No. It will be safe if you succeed.
Can we convince the dragon to help us?
More than it might expect, but less than what you would wish.
The princess is leading what she wants, is ruling what she wants.
No. She looks down on her people. She has no desire to lead them.
Would they respect anyone else?
No. Blood matters.
Those are her 5 questions.
You feel yourself pulled back to the infuriatingly small box that is reality. And you have your answers from the Raven Queen herself.
I think she kind of just sits there for a second, even after the spell fades, partially processing, but also kind of putting things in order. Dreisman would probably notice it because I think they're the closest. And then I imagine Yvaine's insight is insane. As much as Kiro is trying to school her expression into trying to keep calm, you see her eye twitch a little bit, and then under her breath she whispers, "Shit."
I will say on that last question, she said no. They would not follow anyone save her. Blood matters. But I'll tail on that. However, if the Ember King died, and you confirmed their paranoia, they would only reach for a new ruler that would match their paranoia. So a very clear 3 paths lie before you. The status quo, an even further dive into fear and paranoia, or this reluctant member of the bloodline.
No, I think she does, because those questions were kind of built off of Yvaine's scribe. She has been like, if these people can be saved, please tell me how to save them, and if they cannot, please at least give me the strength to do what I'm supposed to do. And so I think those questions were, she was hoping she wasn't right, but she was also kind of trying to prepare herself for, okay, this is the path you have to take. And now she's trying to figure out how things are supposed to line up, because now there's more than one path to take. Because there's always more than one path to take.
And as you saw in your vision, the great marked but porcelain mask of the Raven Queen was juxtaposed with the hundreds and hundreds of threads of fates that have been twisted and knotted in a pattern only she could ever possibly truly interpret. There are many paths, many possibilities.
No, I think she relays her questions to the group, and then she relays what the Raven Queen said. And I think if anything, she tells you guys everything in full, but I think if anything, she just says, I knew it wasn't going to be easy. And I know that it is bigger than just us. But I had hoped it was better news than this.
Can I disagree, like, vociferously? That's
Please.
amazing news. So, what we need to do is convince the princess, right? She doesn't want to do it now. You didn't ask if, is this what you wanted? Do you want to be here underground doing this right now? Would you rather be at sea? We do the things we're called to do, not because we want to, because we're called to. That young girl may answer her calling. And she's the salvation of her people. It won't be fucking easy. It's going to be terrible. Jesus, and she's a teenager. For all intents and purposes. So yeah, we're in the middle of death and destruction, and we're going to have a moody teen with an axe to grind against her parents. And she's only half right. It's going to be a pain in the ass. Ember! Actually, Ember, no, never mind, you can't. Fuck. I was going to say, do you want to talk to her? But you would have had to have seen her. I probably have better control over dream space than you do. All right, well.
I'll put forth this. And I think you would know this, Ember. Even if these guys give you a very thorough description of what was seen, successfully teleporting there is dodgy at best. And frankly, if there's a mishap in such that sends you to a location similar to this one, it will be a place that is similarly filled with magma. So
yeah, hell no.
Quite ironically, well, hang on to end that up. So quite ironically, the only person who could marginally deal with the safety hazards of attempting such a teleportation is you, because you can make yourself immune to fire.
Also, I was in my head, because I can't do that. I was thinking I can cast a dream, and he could dream to her, but he would have had to have seen her to be able to navigate dream space. So it's got to be me. That's what I was saying. But also, good to know about the whole teleporting thing. Right, so we don't teleport in here, but I wasn't actually suggesting it, to be perfectly clear.
I will
there
say
will be no teleportation into the lair of the elder primordial worm. No.
I left a picture over there in Discord, which I would say is a tremendously accurate image of this dragon. A being of elemental flame and a being that has transcended time and
Anyone else lose Ryan?
Yep.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if it was me that got lost, because things are dodgy here, so. Hey, Dreisrin, thanks for teaching me Draconic. I should probably really double down
We
on,
really need to double down on that.
yeah. Because my next
Oh,
conversation, when we're done with this piece, the next conversation, I'm probably going to talk to Bahamut and just be like, "Hey, would you be interested in some new followers? Could you offer your protection? I know it's not usual, right? I know it's not, but there's some like issues with Moradin, and they're going to be kin forever. But dwarves are stubborn, and I got 5 clans of them up there that are kind of pissed. And these guys are in a really bad way with the crawling king, and you got your dragon, your great worm right here, so it'd be real convenient. Your
Holiness?
your holiness.
Listen, I feel like
Am I actually going to go to Bahamut and say, "Hey, do you want the Deurgar?" Shit,
here's my
That's
thing.
that's
that's
that's that's outside our bailiwick by a lot.
I was gonna say, completely above table. Wouldn't it be cool if you guys took like a multi-pronged approach where like one of you goes sees the princess and then one of you goes down the tube-way and then maybe one of you tries to fuck with whatever the teleport thing was and see where you end up and another person could be a fun sort of like multi-angle story. Uh, but anyway, please continue. Sorry. That's just my whatever.
Heroes down to break a trap. I have not stopped thinking about the traps from last week. Like, I hesitate. Saying you want to throw your character into a trap to me feels so bad, but I kind of do. I kind of do. Just to see.
There's some cool stuff playing out over there. I was hoping to
the
get one of you
water
so fucking
genasi wants
trapped.
to get into a trap in a
Listen,
magma.
Spring
we're
trap.
already
Are you sure about that?
we're already underground. There's already magma. We're not going anywhere near an ocean after this. We'll probably end up on top of a mountain. She's given up on any sight of water until the world is not dying actively. What else could you lose? Plus, if she lived, she's the water genasi that did it. Bam.
It's just a water genasi who did. So we'll have Drycerin just knock on the front door.
Fierce.
Ember will go down the chimney like Santa
Yes.
Claus. Yvaine will go talk to the princess. Kiro will get into the teleport trap and spring it. They'll never see it come.
We'll all meet up in the middle.
And we'll meet up in the
I
middle.
volunteered for the front door. Is I'm the loudest.
You're
Might
right. You
make
drop
it a
from the ceiling.
distraction.
See how far gravity puts you out.
You not split the party quite like that.
No, let's
No.
do it. Let's do it though. Let's
Why
do
don't
it.
you check out the Goblin DM?
It'd be
This
fun.
It'd be fun. No, it'd be a fun where we get to immediately retcon
Hey.
everything that happened in the past 4 hours. Just like, actually, all of this was a dream.
Hey, if somebody wants to use a little divination and find out what would happen if you tried to teleport in, maybe who knows?
I have access to augury.
Mm. There you go. You can ask if things are good or bad ideas.
Yeah, Yvaine's got she's got commune and she's got augury too. And she's got divination in the astromancy archive, so
Let's hear them questions. Let's hear them questions.
yeah, let's Dryzer go next since
You're up, Drycerin.
to try her hand at divination. And Yvaine's all up in your shit while you're doing whatever you're gonna do. Like she's totally interested in your process, whatever it is.
I just meant like if we were gonna try and see if plans were good or not, she could help. I don't think she has. None of this is Drycerin's spot. Like trying to figure out plans. No, she is so used to being like, all right, the smart people have made a very efficient plan. We're going to be the weapon that executes it. Let's go.
Nothing wrong with being the weapon. Nothing wrong with being the weapon.
And as a Cord follower, I feel like that's a little bit on brand.
Yeah, fair.
She was just
They're
gonna
the
offer help.
architects. I'm the hammer.
Yeah, she was gonna like maybe be a chisel and just chip away some stuff. But if you all got it, ugh,
You know, for someone who's going to lead a holy order,
no,
you
please don't.
really
Yeah.
do, I've
No,
noticed,
no.
step away from doing the holy order shit. You know, you're going to have to do the holy order
Yeah,
shit if you're going to lead a holy order. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like, I'm not trying to pressure you into anything, but it would maybe be easier to do it here amongst friends than, for the
I just
first
have to
time in front
say
of
the
all
right
of the
things.
people leading.
I'm
This is her
not good
first
at
drink.
finding out the questions for the gods. Like, I don't question things enough, I believe. I think you've all taught me that, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
There are certainly
like,
multiple ways to come at solving this adventure, so I want you guys to do all of them. So
The
I
next thing I
do.
know to do is to wait until it's sleepy time and talk to the princess.
Hmm. If I'm gonna be
okay.
honest,
Yeah, right.
I don't think, well, we can get the princess to maybe agree to some stuff or get the dragon on our side. But if the Duergar have any idea of our involvement, I just don't think they're gonna like that. If
You
it
need to be
came
honest.
from the other dwarves in Craghammer,
No,
would that?
no, there's seriously bad blood there, and she is their blood. Doesn't matter whose idea it is, she is their rightful
Oh
princess.
yes, no, I meant more like they present her to them. Like I
The
just
dragon
don't
will
think
do
if they
it.
know.
The dragon, Dryson, I promise you, she goes in there riding a fucking dragon, she's going to have all the backup she needs. And that's
Oh
going to be more
yeah,
than you or
yeah.
me or
Oh yeah.
anyone from Crackhammer can give her.
I think I had
So,
an existential crisis when you mentioned how large that is, because dragons are in fact my ancestry, and understanding that that one was one of the first existential crisis has been had.
it's magnificent.
The
All the
first
things
brass
you must know.
dragon.
Yeah, like Yvaine is very awestruck. Like, ah,
Anyway, we can't kill the king.
that's
We're gonna
correct.
start a coup, but we have to get the hammer, and we're hoping to kill Hammer Sheila.
Yeah.
I know the
All right.
yes no to ask.
All right.
Is Sheila here?
Oh, that is good. I have been wondering that.
Well, keep in
That is
mind,
very
the
good.
augury isn't necessarily a yes no.
Yeah.
It's more of a is this a good idea spec? Because it's a
Hmm.
wheel or what. So it's
It's like
like if I
good,
go do
real low. Yeah.
this, how will it go? It's like wheel or what? Like if I go looking for this in this place, how will it go? So it's definitely not a yes or no style spec. But you
This
can't
is
if you can
not.
find the wording, you could definitely you might be able to make it work for you.
If we go looking for Hannah Sheila here, will we find her? Is that a good idea? If we go looking to fight her here, is that a good idea?
Hmm.
That's my best shot.
No, I do like
No,
it.
no.
Hmm.
Will besting her here damage the control the crawling king has over the Deurgar people?
That's a good question. I vote for that one.
I like it. Yeah, no, I vote
You
for
like
Kiro.
it.
It's a good question. Because also it tells us if she's here or if doing it here is even the right path to take.
I like the question. I would let it through. But the other caveat as a reminder is based on a course of action you're going to perform in the next 10 minutes. This is a very low level divination spell. So, but yeah, that could be, so the idea would be like, if we kill Hammer Shield in the next 10 minutes in this place, will it, dot, 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 dot. So I'll let that through, but I just want to remind you the caveat. So you could cast that and ask that question.
Like, if we were to find Hammer Sheila and kill her now, how would that affect the Crawling King's hold on the Deurgar?
Okay. Are
How
you
does
asking it? Or are you
yeah.
actually casting it?
Oh God.
Can I ask this question? Just because I'm curious.
Well, hang on for a second with Drycerin. Are you asking the question, Drycerin?
No, I was trying. I
You're just
haven't
talking
cast
out
the spell
loud?
yet. I was just trying to
Okay, sorry. Go ahead then,
structure a
Yvaine. Yeah,
sentence
no
with
worries.
other people's input.
So
Understood.
if you ask a question now, like 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 that's the way it's framed, the answer will only if I'm understanding, and I could be wrong. Okay. The understanding I have is that the answer has an expiration date of about 10 minutes from now,
It has to
and
be
that
not
and that if
necessarily. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
no, that's that, yeah,
Yeah.
and that
So
if
yeah. So the answer will be wheel, woe, or wheel and woe, which means that it'll either go well, go really bad, or a little bit in the middle. There's bad, but there will be good. And it must be bait. It must be a question to a course of action that you are considering or can perform. Probably both. So and
Well, if
considering and can perform in the next 10 minutes.
in that case, perhaps the question needs to be when Yvaine reaches out to the princess, will that put the Duergar on the path to freedom from the Crawling King? Because that's an action that she's going to immediately take. It clears up that particular avenue and gives us a solid foot to move forward.
Sorry, it's next 30 minutes, not 10 minutes, but whatever. Piece of carrots. So yeah, that's you can do that. And the last thing I'll note is that this is an omen. This isn't necessarily the hard and fast truth. This is like a 80, 90%. It's like, there's a really good chance this won't go well, right? Or there's a really good chance this will go well. So keep that in mind as well. This isn't hard and fast in stone. This is more like an advised.
Okay. How Joyce's gonna figure out how to say this before she goes into preparing the spell. She's not good at words. And I think that's just something in her brain that like a switch that hasn't been turned off. Is she's just speaking's not her thing.
Fair.
If we were to put the princess back in power, would that help put the Duergar on the path to redemption?
Uh, you get a very firm affinity for the omen of wheel.
Okay.
I will say, Dry Serin, that like because it's such a low level spell, there's not going to be like a tremendous visual effect. But I will say you almost get like in your mind's eye, you see the vision of like clouds clearing from the sun, and like a clearing of skies, as if to say it would cast darkness away, as if to say it is positive, it is real. If you were to put her on the throne, there's a tremendously good chance it will set the Deurgar on a better path.
It's our best chance at saving these people from the crawling king's touch at the very least.
All right. Well, when it's nighttime and I can be more sure she's asleep, I'll go speak to her.
Okay.
And
Before,
yeah,
absolutely. Before we bed down, I know we have other divination spells hanging around. Before you guys prepare to long rest, I want to ask, is there anything, any other spells, any other scouting, anything that anyone wants to do before we proceed into the long rest stage?
Jason's actually gonna grab a bottle of the holy water we got and cast protection from evil and good as we're going to bed on Yvaine.
Okay. Sure. I believe that lasts like 10 minutes, I think.
10 minutes.
Yeah, cool. Okay. Yvaine, you have commune and whatnot available to you. Did you want to use those before heading to bed?
um, do I want to cast a commune right now? Um, Not exactly. What she wants to do, because she doesn't have questions, but she wants to take a moment and sort of she has all of these dragon artifacts, and I mean, people, you've seen her now, and she's grown claws and she's grown wings and such. Um, I think she starts to really just consider Bahamut and who he is as a god, because she's most of her experience, she's met him twice, but most of her experiences with him have been through the filter of Finch in one way or another.
Mhm.
And her learning Draconic was actually her spending the time to do it was sort of like a an homage to him. Just something like all of that was like her time spent trying to learn him, and she'd like read his pamphlets and such. So
All
it's
right.
it's it's not so much that she's casting a commune and wants a great divination. She just wants a closeness, and also she might need to cast that spell when she sees the dragon.
Got it. Roll me a religion check to just as you lean back and consider all that you know about Bahamut.
I'm going to activate my diadem.
Okay.
And that has been rolling shit for me, so I'm not rolling it again. Roll this one. Okay, now that was better. So 19 plus my religion is a 6, and I've got the diadem, um, which gives me another +5 because it's about God stuff.
Mhm.
So 6 and 5 is 11, so 30.
30. So so 30's big. What has the platinum dragon done? When creation was being made and the elementals and the betrayer gods were brought down in the schism, and the world was made still from the tempest wrath of earth and fire and air and water, there needed to be people to enjoy this gift. And so the elves were created. The very first beings were elves. But the world was full of. The world still needed shaping, and there were many dangers in the world. So Bahamut created the dragons in his own image to defend mortaldom, to defend the elves, and then by extension, the other races that would come. And the elves created Vassalheim. The dragons defended Vassalheim. And when the calamity struck many centuries later, it was Bahamut and Arathis that defended it from the ruiner, from Asmodeus. And when the time came, when the war stretched on for some 200 years, it was yet the same Bahamut and Arathis who came to the Prime Deities and said, we need to step back and we need to give our creation to our children. And because it was Bahamut, and because it was Arathis, and because it was no other of the gods, it was only in these two that they entrusted the good judgment to them, and so agreed at their behest to create the divine gate and cast the betrayers behind it. So the current, all of your astrology, or I always confuse those, astronomy, astrology, all of the constellations, the order of the planes, the way that the material plane is structured, all of these things can be attributed to Bahamut and to surely Arathis, but to Bahamut as well, most intensely. What are his commandments? Stand as a paragon of honor, justice. Smite evil where it is found, yet show compassion to those who have strayed from righteousness. Defend the weak, bring freedom to the persecuted, and protect the ideals of justice and order. On a 30, there are many who have suggested that though there is no king of the gods or chief deity, if there were, it would be Bahamut. For many attribute him to not only be the god of protection and justice, but also the god of sovereigns, of kings. For it is his commandments that embody most what rulers should do for their people. Protect them, destroy the evil, but guide and show mercy to those who have strayed. Bring freedom to the persecuted. This dragon, which you have seen in your vision, speaks in every word, as far as you could tell, the commandments of Bahamut to this girl, to this would-be princess, this would-be ruler, and spoke of the merits of, not the merits of the Deurgar, but contested her hatred for their weakness and their evil and whatnot. For perhaps the dragon looks at Emberhold and sees freedom taken from the persecuted. For they were dominated by the aberrants, and then by fear, and then by the crawling king. For they have lost all sense of justice, and order and defense has become oppression and control. All of the teachings of Bahamut have been skewed by the Deurgar, for fear's sake, into the crawling king's nightmares. Naturally, one of the originator dragons would speak of their father's will. This is all to say that of all the gods, and all the gods have their own perspectives, their own values, and to different cultures, these things are all important. But if there was ever a god that a sovereign, a leader, should follow, it's not the Archart, it's not the Changebringer, it's not the Storm, it's the Platinum Dragon. Where he protects, where he values honor, and he values justice. And that is, for a 30, the essence of Bahamut that you recall from your many journeys and your many learnings, and seeing Finch. And while Finch is a knight, and I think by Finch's own words, is no great leader of people, no great ruler, and barely wishes to ever have been an Ixamar, if at all. Bahamut guides, gently as a father might, Finch on their path. So there are many, many interpretations of the Platinum Dragon, but he is a magnificent and worthy power to follow without controversy.
Means
But the Storm
always a
Lord
little
is also dope, guys. Don't worry. We know the Storm Lord is also dope.
Yvaine is always a little humbled when she thinks upon a god, like when she's actually thinking upon like the nature of that god. And with that, if it is late enough at night, she will grab her sickle, which has been blessed by Sehanine and Moradin, and she will cast Dream.
Dream. You seek out the mind of this Deurgar, this would-be princess. And you enter into her dreams. Let's see what kind of dreams she's having. You hear such strange sounds. You hear fire. This is all very, very vague, like a half-forgotten memory. Fire. A shriek? No, not a shriek. Almost like a high-pitched cry, or sort of a vibrating voice. Flashes of color. You hear the screams of death. You hear what could only be a dragon, and the sound of the movement of its scales against scales. You see almost like a jaw closing, as if you were in the mouth of this very dragon, and leaving fire behind and spirited away. Half-forgotten dreams from long ago of music that was used to kill. And you know this person does not like music. In fact, rather detests music in all its forms. Do you wish to shape the dream?
I do.
What's up?
The music will fade to a warm, quiet, and the dragon's mouth will open and it will be in her study space. And before Yvaine walks out, she will say, "Princess, you're dreaming. I mean no harm. My name is
She
Yvaine." And she steps forward, and Yvaine will like keep her distance.
she looks over her shoulder. She sees you, and despite your words, she stumbles back in fear. You most certainly suspect she has never seen such a creature as you before in all her life. And her fear only heightens when she realizes the dragon is not present. She is alone here with you. And she looks at you not with fear, but not with complete cowardice. there is resilience and a readiness to not go down quietly. But she is sort of fumbled back on the floor, desk maybe knocked over, and she kind of looks up at you with the same mysticism as you may have looked upon the dragon when you scryed upon it. You are as strange and foreign and beyond imagination as that dragon is to you. And she looks up at you with brave eyes, but judging eyes, and says, "What are you?"
I'm half an elf and half a genasi. And Yvaine actually sits down. I am an oracle, so like a seer of a goddess Serenine, the Moonweaver. And I think I'm the champion of Ioun. I certainly bear her vestige, I shall point out. This is a dream. I will leave whenever you want. Truthfully, you will remember this dream when you wake. And what I would like is permission to speak to you. With your dragon there, I can't reach you except through dream. And the Great Wyrm would have to allow me to dream to him. But I also, sir, vomit.
She no trust has been gained. She stands up carefully and understands that she's dreaming and has the look of someone who believes and perhaps knows that they're entirely vulnerable. And as you bring up things like your dragon and whatnot, her eyes kind of widen these things at the shock of the amount of knowledge you possess over her. And she kind of she moves around. She kind of stands at the edge of the room, sort of resiliently, but with every appearance that you're like the crazy possessed person in an Insidious movie, and she is wary and fearful of you underneath it. She says, "If you're an oracle, say what you've come to say then."
As you wish. There is a changing of things happening that matters not at all to you. But there is one who's turned Emberhold into a prison. I aim to take that one away. She's no Deurgar. She should have never been down here. I understand you don't think highly of your people. Truthfully, I have an enormous amount of compassion for them. But you are the princess. And my team and I value your input. Because whether you mean, ever to lead or not, it would be unacceptable to do so without making contact.
He assesses you quietly and then kind of furrows her brow and she says, "Are you asking for my permission to kill all of the Deurgar?"
No, 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 no. I don't want to kill them. I'd like to see them saved. I'd like to see them redeemed. I didn't ask for this. I want to kill as few of them as I can. I do want to kill the one who has enslaved them this way. I mean to take the champion of the crawling king away. You should consult with your guardian. And your guardian should be here. I do not mean to speak to you in private. You should have the Great Wyrm's wisdom. It's just, I am quite limited. I cannot swim through a lake of lava to meet with you. I can only meet you in a dream, and I don't know how to connect call to him also in a dream. I do apologize for my limitations, Princess.
She kind of like this is you with your passive insight, like this is as much as like an inciting incident to the hero's journey as can exist. Some wild fucking fairy creature of the unknown has arrived in her dream with a seemingly perfect knowledge of everything she is and everything she has believed, and is asking her to lead her people. Um, and she is, while not like losing it or anything like that, there's certainly a strength to this woman. She is utterly perplexed, to which you hear a voice that could easily be interpreted as the voice of a god. And you hear all encompassing in the dream as it freezes around you. Enough.
As you say.
And you feel yourself ejected, not painfully necessarily, but a being of such essence that moving through dreams and times and intentions is like sifting through the shallows of water to it. And you are shunted from her dream states and sent back to your own body. And you rise feeling like you have just been knocked. Yeah. You just been flicked out of a dream by a demigod.
It is the second
Like
time it's happened to me. The first time was in the forest. I went chasing after Happy, and I met with the man who was on his vacation and angry that I went into the one with the nice calves and the big eyebrows.
was it? Yeah, I would. You
Um,
know what?
he also ejected me from the dream.
He did. I will tell you what though. This was probably more potent. That entity was probably the most impressive entity that you've met or interact or other than whatever divination, with gods and whatever. That was pretty impressive level of power. This was whereas this guy like intentionally took you out. This guy kind of waved off a fly.
Okay. Mission accomplished.
Message sent. Absolutely.
I'm
I will.
certain
I
the
will say
Great Wyrm
Yvaine
will
wakes
contact
up.
us.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Yvaine wakes up from her dream, probably in like a start, like, and Yvaine, you probably have the feeling of like your very spirit being yo-yoed in and out and sort of equalizing with you as you were pushed out with such force. And Drycerin, being a dragonborn, I would say you're in your draconic blood. You would feel a bit of like a residual, like almost like elemental feedback, if you will, as she suddenly starts awake. And you know what? Let's just get everyone in on it. And I will say, Ember, being the spirit of fire you are, and your divine blood would probably feel similarly. Maybe even a being that could give Estrix a run for his money. And in just in the feeling of reverberation of that power. And Kiro, you're just really hot, and it's so annoying.
Darshon's gonna do the thing of she's just slapping Kiro. Silent,
Hero,
but just
Hero immediately wakes up. Who turned up the heat? How can you turn up the heat in a crater? I hate it here.
Oh, hey. Good morning.
is it?
Great Wyrm knows we're here. Okay.
Puddle,
Who wants to cuddle? I don't want to sleep alone tonight.
puddle.
Ah, love you guys, but from like 2 feet over here because you guys are really hot and I'm already boiling.
Happy will like walk over in a little bit of like a, what is it? Almost like in like a Bugs Bunny kind of way of like tired, kind of one foot in front of the other. Like hop on your chest and kind of like curl up into a little ball on your chest. And it's comfy for about 60 seconds until having someone's body heat near you then becomes more uncomfortable and he gets off. And he'll like curl up there, close but not quite touching.
Okay.
I've got something I'd like to try.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if it'll work. Cape Water says that I can freeze water providing there are no creatures into it. Does sweat count as water?
I would certainly say yes.
It is on Kiro, but Kiro is not in the sweat.
Yeah.
I would like to freeze it for an hour.
Hey, yeah, Kiro, you're. And probably to any other person, this would be immensely uncomfortable, but Kiro's a water genasi. And suddenly, Kiro, you're probably like laying fucking starfish, like barely any clothes on, just absolutely pouring sweat. And then suddenly, like you're just like coated in a thin sheen of like in Wanted, in the Wanted bath where it's like got the cracked surface a little bit, like over the face.
Yeah.
Like that suddenly you're just like covered in like frost and like a very thin shell of ice. And to any human, this would be like probably very disconcerting. But to Kiro, it's probably the best thing in the world.
The best she's felt in weeks. Oh, thanks, Ember.
Incredible.
Is she like as starfish down as she is? Because she is very much trying to be there for all of you. But again, it's hot down here, and so she did. She just like had a hand touching Yvaine's boot because that's really all she could manage at this point. And I think she half rolls over. She's like, okay, I'm good. I'm better now.
Very nice. Um, there's one last thing before we go to break, and finish up our long rest. There's one last thing I want to. Ember, before you fell asleep, or before you woke up, you had a dream. Um, and maybe you've had dreams before, visions before, and you've heard of other people's dreams and visions where it feels very much like a dream. it's incredibly difficult to describe, but yours feels more than that. It feels like it's impossible to point at a source, and I'm going to do my best to put it to words, but it has everything to do with the fact that you're a divine soul sorcerer. You feel that this is almost an intention brought to you and formed visually for the sake of your unconscious mind that is born of the essence of what's in your blood, which is fire and change. And you are going to see maybe your god, maybe Avandra, but shroudedly, and from behind as well. And what you more see than her actual form is her beautiful, beautiful hair. Long, brown, golden hair that is perfectly straight and ropes down her back all the way to the ground and begins to move across the ground, endlessly long, twisting and turning. It will run all the way through the streets of a city. And the more you follow that path of hair through the city, it begins to burn. And as it moves through it yet more, you see broken buildings that were burned. As you move through it more still, you'll see those buildings rebuilding into something better. You'll move through still and you'll see a hound pass by. You'll see a cat pass by, black and white cat. You'll see a dragon, a silver young dragon pass by. You'll see a vast water on the side of a road with a ship out at sea pass you by. You'll see a thunderstorm rolling over top of it. The stars will be twinkling over you until you come to a mountain, a great mountain that is covered in trees. And as you draw closer to this mountain, it grows larger to you as you make your way to it with great speed. You see that fire blooms over the entire mountain, goes out. And then slow, small trees begin to grow wide and wild, and renew. And all the while, that big, beautiful starry sky is sifting. And you know time is passing magnificently fast. Sun and stars, sun and stars, sun and stars travel down this hair-winding road into the mountain and below. And deep within, you will see a thick, petrified, gnarled cavern filled with deep, deep roots, deep in the mountain, surely built over centuries, blackened, again, petrified like stone almost. And crawling across all of these are an infinite number of worms, centipedes, maggots, bugs, all crawling their way to the epicenter of this great gnarling brush. And it is all curling and encircled around what looks to be something humanoid, maybe, wrapped around it thickly, 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 but just barely through the cracks. Whatever this is, whoever this is, it is made of gold. But these roots are deep, and they have plunged deep within whatever's within, and around it and over it, and all of the worms and bugs and snakes and creatures of the earth make their way down the roots up to this figure. But you're there. And there's a spark. Just one spark. And it catches, just a little, catches on some of the wood. The tiniest flicker of flame is there, like the very beginnings of a campfire, where you would begin to breathe on it and blow on it to hope the fire takes. It grows very slowly. And as you zoom out, not much will have changed, other than that tiny little firelight that is slowly growing. You are pulled back down the road and away, leaving behind a little bit of light. And now it's worth noting that this little spark, this little flame that took to this almost stone-like branch, it was not a raging campfire. It was not a destructive burning. And even the branch itself that was burning was revealing, if not turning, into gold. And this little flame was like a candlelight that was almost more radiant than it was true, harsh, destructive flame. We pull away, leaving that one little seed of flame that may one day yet reveal all that is gold. Pull away, back into the dark of the earth, leaving behind that tiny little light in the dark. Back into the black of the earth, back down the trail. And that's when you would wake up to Yvaine's
Okie dokie.
interaction. And that's where we'll go to a break. Whoa.
Boy.
I forgot that it was break time. I forgot we have another half a session.
May click the button. Long rest complete. Wake up on this fine morning. You have a couple of paths before you to choose from. Whatever will you do?
All right. Ember, what are your thoughts?
Well,
Sorry.
I think the various divinations said that there is a path, not a particularly wide path, but there is a path by which these people can get started on a road to, I don't want to necessarily say reconciliation, but on a road to less of the crazy. Um, it is equally clear that we can't we can't remove the current titular head because that is only going to downward spiral their paradigm into increased madness. But at the same time, we cannot stand by and let the crawling king continue to have dominion via Hammer Sheila here.
Oh yeah, no, that can't happen.
If the princess wants involved, the door's been opened, but ultimately it will be at the guidance and suggestion of her mentor, guardian, whatever their particular relationship is. We're at a spot where they are going to have to approach us.
Yes. 100% agree.
So the only thing that I can think to do is to entice Sheila into the open.
Okay.
And the only way that I can think to do that that has the least impact on the Deurgar population would be to leave a series of messages throughout Emberhold denouncing the supposed protection of the Crawling King and laying out a blanket challenge to the champion to meet us at a place that we've already been, which would be the at the who's it at outer the outer watch gate. With red on the inside, I don't see us being able to do a sneaky insertion. Getting down to the level where the king and in theory, what's her name, likely is going to prove exceedingly difficult. There's no path. It is the only way to do it would be wholesale conflagration, wholesale slaughter. And that's only going to make matters infinitely worse. There's no direct line there. There's no our particular skill sets are not in the skulk in an urban environment skill set. And we don't
No.
look anything like the locals, nor do we speak the language by and large. You
No,
perhaps
got a
being the
translator.
sole exception. So that's my thought. With red, I can, in all likelihood, be able to write on walls, do that sort of thing, which will eventually filter down. And by filter down, I mean literally down. Uh, and if Sheila is there, then perhaps that incitement might be enough to encourage something, but that will take some time
While we're
because
doing
they will go out of their way looking for, who's doing it, why are they doing it, where are they doing it, yada yada and so forth.
and we could use that as a greater means to an end. We take out Hammer Sheila ourselves. That's one dark vestige off the board. The king's obviously not going to come up to us, so we don't worry about bringing him up to us. We worry
Oh,
about convincing.
there is certainly a likelihood that she will bring him.
She might, but
If that influence is being called to question, if a example needs to be made, the I get the impression that she is going to want a witness in every encounter we've had. She's wanted a witness. She was after delivering a lesson.
I'm not saying that she won't. I'm saying that the civilization full of people that have demonstrated that their greatest fear are adventurers showing up and killing their monarchs again after 20 years. I'm saying that I severely doubt that those people, swayed by religion, fear, or otherwise, are going to put their champion in the same room as their king with the people that have thus far evaded everything that they've thrown at us.
Respectfully, I disagree because I don't think it's their call where Hammer Sheila goes.
No,
And I think
agreed.
she takes whatever she wants. In other words, if Hammer Sheila wants to take the king, she's going to take the king. They were
It's
terrified of her.
if the Deurgar are more in charge than the dominion of the crawling king, then I would say Kiro is likely going to be correct. If the crawling king has more dominion, it won't be a choice.
What I'm saying is we shouldn't rely on both vestiges being in the same room at the same time and being able to take both of them off the board at the same time. If that's the case, we use Hammer Sheila as an example. Not to the Duragar, but they'll take it that way, but to the dragon and to the heiress that we're trying to convince that we can at least be helpful in putting her people in a position to be willing to listen to her.
100% agree.
Absolutely. And the upside is, based on the information that Yvaine shared, I know exactly where to put the hammer.
Oh, Horde, absolutely. I dare anyone to go after it there. And I wish them good luck.
Hey, Yvaine,
This
could you
is
roll me a
the
wisdom save?
single worst place that you could conceivably want to go fishing. Good luck with that.
Yvaine, could you roll me a wisdom saving throw?
I will indeed. Okay, let me get to that page. Ba, 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 ba. 21.
Oh, I'm just that. Hmm. Okay, nothing happens.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's hard to contact someone who has the circlet of non-detection on.
Shit.
I will say for the sake of me having given a little meta skill there, you feel just like almost like the diadem kind of tickle, as if something was attempting to happen, but the diadem was protecting you.
Somebody tried to contact me. I don't know what it was. Kind of like to the diadem, which she knows can't answer. She's gonna say, if it's the Great Worm, you know, just pass it through Bahamut and let it come through. It's fine. It's allowed.
The diadem?
Yeah, she's just
Being
talking to the diadem.
yeah,
She knows. She
being
knows.
being an inanimate object fails to perform as your secretary, unfortunately.
Well, tonight, if we live, I may go try to say hello to the dragon. Oh,
I'll
God.
give you just to add to the fun of it. Um, you could only be targeted by divination by a god or their avatar. So I will say to make it all make sense, because if someone was trying to do anything to you, you wouldn't know. I'll say that this feels a little oministic, like maybe something powerful beyond was giving you a little like, hey, heads up. This is what's up.
All right, well, if we're still thinking about things, I might try to dream my way to the dragon, but only if we're still discussing things.
I will. You do your thing. I will visit with Red, and we will start crawling on walls.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Vane, before that. You once said you knew Hammer Sheila's name, like her name.
Yes.
Can we call her
And
the fuck owl?
yes, we would call her out by calling her Abbess Morena. I'll have to go look it up. Carmen would have to go look it up. Yvaine would know that shit right there.
So with the DM. That's more that's I haven't looked at that in a while. I can find it
I
though.
was just thinking, if we really want her to respond to this, if we're really trying to call her out.
Well, and that will get, that'll be part of the Banksy graffiti
Oh yeah, no, I was
campaign.
just figuring
Yeah.
we
No, no,
needed the
no.
name.
In the meantime, I'm going to I'm going to sit myself down. I hope a great worm doesn't eat me.
Abbess Marelda Dusk, former scholar priestess of Yvaine.
Yep. Going to say a quick little prayer to Bahamut. And then I'm going to try to dream my way to a great worm.
Middle of the day? I'm surprised the group doesn't have like a sending or something like that. The sending spell or anything like
We
that.
have sending stones, but no one
Yeah,
has
okay.
sending.
So if my intention had been to put sending in her book because it's a divination spell. But that's going to take a minute. So I'm trying to decide whether or not I think a great worm would feel a dream spell during a waking state. Because, I mean, do dragons even sleep? Do I even think a great worm would need to sleep?
That is very much the question. From what you rolled about great worms, it's again, it is deeply theoretical, conjectured dragon lore that has no basis in any real study. In fact, you're probably going to be the only person to come forth and be like, great worms exist. And I met one. And most people would be like, you're lying. But because it's just so in the context of reality of what is real in Dungeons and Dragons, the idea of a great worm is like fairy tales to them, right? But everything that's been wrote about great worms is that it's largely conjecture that they've like transcended even what dragons would consider mortality, because dragons can die of old age. It takes thousands and thousands and thousands of years, but it does happen. But very, very special, very specifically wise or powerful dragons can transcend time and reality and these things. In such a being, yeah, it's any wonder if they even work like you guys anymore. Do they sleep? And if they do sleep, how long do they sleep? And I'm sure for a scholar, Yvaine, you're probably like must be tremendously interesting. Something that's kind of transcended the boundaries of reality.
But this thing's like a demigod, right?
Something like that. Sure, absolutely.
Fuck it, let's try a commune.
Okay, hell yeah. All right, cool. You cast commune. You are trying to contact this dragon. Now, commune allows you to contact a god or their servant. You are maybe pleased with yourself or surprised to find that indeed such a power is strong enough and worthy enough to make contact with such an immense being. And you feel the closeness and presence of this immense being in your mind, like a proxy to Bahamut himself. And you almost, not physically, but very much metaphysically, consciously, you feel its great consciousness and gaze turning its attention towards. Um, uh, and it says, clever.
You rang, sir. And she's speaking in Draconic, like her best, like it's going to be rough, but she's going to try since it's clearly important to him.
Fair enough. What did you say? What was the words? Like, what did Yvaine say?
You called, sir?
Ah, gotcha. No two-bit augury oracle, I see. One of greater power than that. You may ask your questions if you wish, and in the end, I will tell you where we may meet.
We are the Aurora Concordant. I am the Oracle of the Moonweaver, and I bear the Knowing Mentor's vestige. I travel with one whose patron is the Raven Queen, another who is champion of Horde, and another whose the Changebringer's blood runs in his veins. There is a ghastly movement amongst the betrayer gods. It is as though they are trying to have a second calamity. The champion of Torog is here, we believe. We've come to take her vestige, to slay her if we can. Can you destroy the dark vestige?
I cannot destroy the arms of the betrayers. They are the essence of gods themselves. They are indestructible.
I was hoping the son of Bahamut could just make it go away. I'm sorry.
It has been a while since I have been overestimated. It is unique to recall. Some things in this world are eternal, Oracle. You are wise to know this.
By the same token, casting it into magma would also be a poor choice. If it can't be destroyed, I wish to put it where no one could ever wield it again.
You will live only so long, Druid. Even you. Evil cannot be destroyed. It can only be held at bay. Wherever you hide these evil things, they have will enough to find themselves back into the world of mortaldom. But perhaps it may be waylaid for centuries yet. Evil cannot be destroyed. And that is the purpose of all that is good. To protect.
If we call out the abyss, can we lure her into fighting us herself and not throwing heaps upon heaps of Deurgar. We truly don't want to kill them if we do not have to.
You feel this being again is a proxy in this moment to Bahamut himself, and you feel such an immensely ancient being has been rather disconnected from the recent news and goings-ons of the world for quite a long time. You expect to such an immensely old being, the passing of decades is like the passing of seconds, and the existence of Hammershila is not even a blip on his radar. And so you feel almost him being filled with the knowledge and wisdom of Bahamut's more active gaze to relay back to you. Do not underestimate this foe. You are right to believe her insane, for she is. But you have homage to the goddess of knowledge. Imagine, if you can, how intensely this woman must have been broken down, humiliated, destroyed in persona, and built back up. How beyond pride do you think such a loathsome being is? She will not rouse to mockery and threat. Though she is mad, she is guided by dark forces, and she was once the disciple of the goddess of wisdom. She will not coax easily. It is not impossible. She will not rouse to barbs, to mockeries, not such simple things, for she has suffered these things over again. If you want to find her, you will need to find those who know where she rests. You are on the right path. Undoubtedly, the Ember King knows where to find she who came and made him the offer originally to bring forth the faith of Torog to his people. Is that all the questions?
She
right?
has two more, I think. That was three,
Oh.
wasn't it?
Yep, cool. Sorry, I just lost track.
They are the sixth clan. They're Moradin's people. I don't know. I don't know how they fell away. I only know they did. I don't know the politics, but I know they are the victims of a great injustice. They turned to Torog. They turned to the crawling king for protection. But Divine Bahamut is also a protector. Were they to repent, do you believe Bahamut might take them? It would be a way to cripple the crawling king if they're praying to Bahamut and not to him. It could take years and years. I might not live to see it, but certainly you would.
Bahamut will always take those who require protection under his will, for he is just and honorable. However, you know the truth and the stubbornness of stone, and the children of stone will be slow to lose their bindings to the eviler gods. But consider, if they are prisoners, they abide by the jailer. They are servants of their king, who is their protector and master in their minds. How dark this relationship is, and yet how easy would it be for a new king to enforce a new way upon those who are used only to do what they are told. They are indeed the sons and daughters of Lord. The children of stone will take a long time to find their father again. But nothing is impossible. A river can cut a mountain down if it is given enough time.
Should your charge wish to take her rightful place, we and what we have to bear would gladly stand with her.
My ward looks on her people with a fair but harsh gaze, as you seem to already know. She sees her mother and father, the former king and queen, as weak for their inability to rule under the domination of outside otherworldly threats. Not necessarily an unfair judgment, but a harsh one. And same still, she looks upon what the Deurgar have turned themselves into these last centuries under the grip of fear and the hold of a dark god. And again, she judges them perhaps fairly, if not harshly. I have enjoyed my conversation with her, our debates, and allow her to think freely, for I would not bind her to thought as her kin are forced to. But you are all the heralds of gods. Perhaps they have heard the voice of this old dragon for too long, which is why I tell you thus. There are a series of watchtowers at the edge of the cavern that you now stand in. In fact, my father's lore is correct to have been there before and roused much ire in the Deurgar there. When you come, you will not speak, for I will need to shift the ground to make weight for my mouth, and you will step within. There I will take you somewhere where we may speak. Come and trust, or stay and do as you will. I will be there regardless.
I will meet you there.
Feel the communion fade. Time has been set.
All right, I have a hot date with the dragon, so we should get to the watchtower.
Okie dokie. Uh,
And I will convey everything that was just said. So yeah, we are going to jump into a dragon's mouth. Yeah, yeah, and we're going to go deep. Yeah, so right, so that's we're going to go back to the beginning where we started. That first watchtower, yeah, and we're going to take a leap of faith into a Great Wyrm's mouth. I'm excited. She looks terrified, by the way. Like, she looks as scared as you've ever seen her.
We're going on the big roller coaster today.
Yeah, so.
If we want to do a slight fast track, if that is what you all want.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Red
That
can
works.
exfiltrate easy enough, same way he came. In fact, probably easier.
Oh, much easier. Unsummon them and resummon them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, way easier. Red appears. You may all make your way into Ember's Ring. And Red can carry the ring and travel back This will be a little bit faster than before because Red was almost literally like kind of groping his way towards Emberhold. Um, he's done the route there. Now he can do the route back a little easier. Um, you guys hang out. You hang out for a little bit in this cool but not cool enough ring. And make your way back to the initial cavern, to which Red will appear in his sort of gentlemanly form within the ring and say, we will be arriving most shortly. Only issue is that the cavern seems to have changed geographically somewhat. You will see, so you may we will be you may will be docking in 2 minutes. And um eventually, he will say, "You have arrived," and you guys can bamf out. Um, no longer will I need to ever show you this map again because no longer does this outpost exist. It is a pool of lava. The presence of the dragon has displaced the magma to such an extent that it has burnt most of the landscape of within that particular cavern. And you're initially arriving, you're like, what the hell is that? And you're like, what's blocking the cavern? You're trying to get in, and you realize in the immensity of its size, you hadn't realized that you are actually looking at the dragon's like this part of its face. And it's so large, your mind doesn't even comprehend that it is a living creature first until it starts moving and the ground shifts under your feet and magma pours down the steps out of the cavern just from the slight shifting of its mass until the mouth opens like that much. And it is gaping wide. It's probably like a 30-foot like entrance. And within you see razor sharp teeth that are as tall as these towers that you see on the map presently. And it has an internal light within the dragon's maw that comes from the back of its throat, where fire gathers and will always be gathered. You step within, and boy, Kiro, if you thought it was hot before, it's hot now. If you all wish to, you step within the dragon's mouth. Mouth closes around you, and you can still see just fine because, again, deep within the back of its throat, a light. The room is mostly brightly lit by this sort of ever-present, like almost like the sun on the horizon at the back of the throat. And the interior of his mouth, his maw, is like bigger than like a whale, like a great whale. So in here, it's probably like maybe the size of the rousing spark in here. If you were to take out all of the floors and whatever, just make it the carcass of the spark. And you guys are like probably shocked that you're in such an immense maw in this moment and feel the like oh motion where you're like holding a tooth or something of the creature fully like moving its great head and dipping down and diving deeper into the earth and swimming at a titan's pace. And you are now traveling in the mouth of a great worm.
Like Yvaine's
No
just
one is
hugging
ever
onto.
going to believe this story. Ever.
Sure, Kumarine is like, you guys having an anxiety. Someone just has a cooler story than me. I can feel it. Someone up there is. um, but yeah, here you are. I would say Ember, your Genasi blood is like you almost feel like tingling under your skin, and you recognize that this dragon is like it's hard to comprehend what it is at this point, but your body like lights that you are like almost inside of a source of immense fire elemental power in the most primal magical sense. And you feel this great sort of jittering under your skin of flame come home almost in a way. Um Drycerin, I think by the nature of you being a dragonborn, it is and the again the reality breaking essence of such a being, um, you can't help but feel like almost in your cells, like reverence and like it's almost all you can do not to like have bent your knee before entering into the mouth. Yeah, go ahead.
Would I don't know why, but would Dragonborn culture include if you ever meet an a dragon of any kind, the proper greeting?
I will leave that to you. I don't
I feel like
know
her
of one.
parents
Yeah,
would have been like, on the off chance you ever meet an ancient dragon, here's how to properly greet them.
I I you know what? I don't even
I
know
don't
if there
know.
would be because I think to a normal human meeting an ancient dragon is the stuff of
Well,
legends. Just the sheer meeting could
maybe
mark
not
someone's life.
maybe not ancient, but any type of dragon above us, especially with Drycer's
Gotcha.
beef with Bahamut. But any
Um,
higher level honorific, I think her parents would have tried to teach her, but if there isn't one, that's fine. I just was thinking like, oh boy.
yeah, I'll tell you. You know, I'm gonna tell you what. Your, I think, above table kind of like struggle and almost like slight stress of like not knowing how to properly respect this creature. I kind of like it. I think I like it for
Yeah.
Dryspring, where Dryspring's in this state of like, should I fucking be on my knees? Like, I think that's exactly the essence of how Dryspring's probably feeling of like, what's the protocol because I want to abide it, but it's there's nothing actually like there's no
There.
like
Yeah.
point of order or like logical steps of what to do. It's just this primal need to show reverence,
I like it.
um, which I think is an awesome way to
I do
interpret
like
it.
it.
Cool. Where yeah, it's all you can do to you're like, what do I do? It does not take long. This thing swims pretty quick, by the nature of its size. Um, you begin to feel like the internal movement, like you were in there and it was like this sort of almost like the sea a bit, but more left and right rather than up and down, like a serpentine in a serpentine swimming motion a little bit. Less so because it's the mouth, right? The mouth stays generally still. But then you begin to feel this like shock of like lumber, of like, you know, movement and ascending. Um, you feel this like you feel this pressure under your feet of this immense head sort of meeting ground, and then you almost like, okay, this is kind of cool actually. I just thought of this is kind of cool. As its lips begin to open and move, much like as if you were uncovering a tomb and the air was finally trading after hundreds of years, it opens its lip and the air pressure inside of its mouth and outside kind of, and you feel and your hair blows back as like just the wind inside of its mouth is trading with the exterior. Um, and you step out of its mouth, each of you. The dragon waits for maybe an extra 30 seconds just in case there are little feet in there you haven't been able to sense. But all of you seem to have exfiltrated and it pulls back. It's like larger than tavern sized head and cranes it up. And not at all unlike the picture I posted in Discord. That little guy down there is you. This thing is the size of a city, a it's the size of a ruin, and it lays there as low as it can, and yet it still towers over you like a mountain, um, and looks down upon you all passively. Um,
Oh yeah, Yvaine drops to a knee and in her draconic just basically says, Great Worm, you honor us. I am Yvaine. This is Ember. This is Kiro. And this is Dryson. I mean, she's keeping it simple because she's trying to use her draconic, and this is Dryson.
um, you see its great eyes sort of look over you all, its breath is so immense that while it is not growling at you, it can't help this sort of like undulation with like every breath. It almost echoes off of the walls. That kind of the lizard brain in all of you, that survival instinct in you is some probably everyone except for Drycerin, that just like the barest instinct of your brain is saying, run. And you can't, it takes courage to even stand before this thing. Whereas you, Drycerin, it's probably just an entire reverence. And it looks over you all and says, "You are well armed and well favored by the prime deities. The Storm Lord's own good. Diadem. Trident, I thought, would have been lost longer than these centuries." And looks to you, Ember, and says, "And you come for the hammer."
I come for multiple things, that amongst them.
Fitting answer. "I will take you to my room. It is clear to me that you are what you say you are. You are favored enough to have found such relics and beyond with them. I'm curious to see what one of your blood ends up wielding. Fire Genasi. Wrong character. Ember. How interesting fate would bring Fire Genasi named Ember to Emberhold. The gods do have their sense of humor."
I have often found Avandra to be exactly the type to facilitate those sorts of interactions.
Mondra. I understand. Interesting. Your purpose here is you wish to liberate Emberhold from the claws of the crawling king and his machinations. That is
Yes.
your purpose here?
Yes.
His champion has much to answer for.
I expect you are right. I must forewarn, my aid to you will be limited. If your goal is not the entire genocide of the Deurgar race, I'm afraid my talents will be less than helpful, nor would I wish to impose such a final measure on a lost people. And besides, mortaldom, though does need guidance from time to time, is quite capable of managing its own fate, and I will not step in the way of such needed growth. But I will take you to who you seek, as he begins to rise with great weight. Perhaps you are who she needs to speak to. He stands, but makes no immediate movement, and with a massive movement of a head, slow though it is, you feel a gust of wind just from the displacement of air from the slow movement of an immense thing such as it. And he directs his head towards an ascending stair that you recognize, Yvaine, from your scry. He says, "Simply follow that path. I will follow behind you. And I think, if I might advise, if it is indeed your goal to put her on the throne, show her the respect due to a queen. Not for her pride's sake, but understand she has not seen creatures such as you in all her life. You may do well to put you on the right footing. She can be stubborn, as only children of stone can be.
Thank you for your wisdom.
And he will kind of slight gesture the head of a sort of like, of course, as if he wouldn't even consider such a praiseworthy of what he is doing. But he nods to you regardless, and you may begin to ascend. It is not a short walk. While this is but a mere set of stairs to lead to the higher chamber for him, it's a bit of a hike for you guys. Not a long one, maybe a 20-minute little hike up this Great Wyrm sized mountain face. You guys, make your way up, and you come into the chamber, which begins to be marked. Rolling down the steps towards the fire is you catch the glint of electrum pieces from ancient, from civilized prehistoric civilizations. The faces and the age of such coinage is ancient, and then it becomes more and more, and surely the wealth he has accumulated over his thousands and thousands of years of life is spilling down the stairway. And when you rise to the top, you see a wealth that would exceed all that lies on the surface world of Tal'Dorei. A true cavern large enough for such a creature that makes an ocean of a bed for it. It would take a lifetime to count this much coinage. But you see the stairs, probably following Yvaine at this point, who's actually seen this chamber in her divination practices, and you ascend, and halfway up the steps, the dragon makes its way over and lays down on maybe, again, a volume of which could fill the streets of Amon of coin. The cavern's almost deafening in the sound of coins spilling and rolling over themselves as he lays upon it lazily. Despite the size of the cavern, his head is very close to the top of the lip. And you guys come around the large wall pillar to where you see exactly what you laid before her, Yvaine. What is spacious, in some cases rudimentary, but in other cases very well appointed. A living situation. There are more unique contraptions, tools of learning than there are comforts. If you could possibly imagine almost like a Spartan scholar's cave, where the amenities are low, but the unique collection of tools and learning implements are in stark opposite. Some of them you don't even recognize. Even amongst you, you're like, what the hell is that? It's like, that looks cool. And probably very helpful to learning in some way. And then stacks of books and such. And you see, still there, dressed in probably some chitin and hide, but yeah, chitin and hide, probably made by her own hand, so very much looks in every bit the pariah princess who's been living in the cave of a dragon her whole last 20 years of life. 23, excuse me. This Deurgar, she has white hair, she has ebony skin, she has almost glowing violet eyes, giving the psionic nature of her people. And she looks at you all with, again, completely mystified. For the reality-bending dragon in the background, it is the woman of water and the man of fire and the human-sized dragon and the fairy that shock her and surprise her upon their appearance. Who would like to start?
Bryce has been about deeply. Oh, go ahead. No, Yvaine can definitely go first.
Speaking in Undercommon, she will curtsy and say, Highness, I am Yvaine Starborn. None of my companions speak Undercommon, and only Dreisrin speaks Draconic. My Draconic is gauche. Would it be acceptable to you for us
See,
to speak in
draconic is
common?
gauche. I think she chuckles when you say draconic is gauche.
No, my
Um,
Draconic is gauche, like my Draconic
I think you
trumpet.
said draconic is gauche, which no. So if you say my draconic is gauche, never mind. Please continue. Sorry.
Um, would it be acceptable to speak common, or would you prefer that I translate? Or Dreisrin if you prefer to speak Draconic.
She speaks now in a fluent common, an almost perfectly fluent common. There, when she speaks in a little bit of a variation that sounds like it's not quite from this time. Like maybe this is how they spoke 100, 200 years ago or something. She sounds very much like she learned it from a book and possibly an ancient creature who hasn't been on the surface in several centuries. But nonetheless, you're able to interpret it. Um, and in fairness, in fact, it sounds a little bit like a dwarf speaking common backed up maybe a couple hundred years. And she says, uh, I'll speak with you in tongue we all share. Very well. Uh, she says, she kind of nods to you, Yvaine. She says, interesting to see. I didn't expect you to look like you appeared to me for. You're what elves look like.
Not quite. I'm half elf. My mother is a drow, and my father is an earth genasi.
She nods slowly with the look of someone who's clearly recalling what they have learned and and with the confirmation she understands. She'll kind of she'll kind of walk down the line. She carries herself like she's been raised with the understanding she's a princess, and she carries herself now. There's a little bit of a false confidence about it. It's apparent enough for you guys to see. You're worldly enough that you're like see someone who's trying to control the room, their presence, but you're you've seen such individuals before. She'll start at you, Kiro, and she says, "And you are uh, water ancestry,
Yes, ma'am. Water genasi. My mom and my dad.
and you can survive at these depths."
Barely, but so far, yes.
She looks at your trident with interest. You expect she probably hasn't seen a trident before. Uh, kind of she's kind of interested by your situation. Uh, she moves down to you, Ember. She'll say, "And you perhaps are better at home at these depths, fire ancestry."
The temperature does not discomfort me overmuch. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Your Highness. May I be so bold as to offer you a gift at this most auspicious of meetings?
You see the like it's very slight, but you see the like, well, yes, well, yes, that would be quite good. And you very much are like, that was the right move. And she goes, that would be very good.
And Ember will pull forth a a, a small cask uh, from his bag of holding because
She is shocked by your bag of holding.
I brought fresh fruit that did not get used aboard the ship, and I will present her an entire cask full of fresh fruit.
Uh, yeah, all sort of, you know, posture of this is how I should stand meeting envoys of, you go and pull an impossibly large cask out of her, and it drops. I mean, she's like, like her jaw drops, all of her disposition drops, and you put it down in front of her and you pull it off, and she looks inside with almost a child's like interest. And she's like, what creatures are these?
These are fruit. They are a food. I would suspect that you probably have never had the opportunity to see and have this, and it would provide you a novelty and hopefully some enjoyment.
She nods and kind of turns back to her uh hilarious to say advisor. And the great dragon just kind of like kind of chuffs once in sort of confirmation, sort of like a and she kind of turns back and kind of picks up we'll say like an apple. She looks at it and smells it and kind of shakes it a little and completely takes a bite out of it. She's like shocked by it. And clearly she's someone who's tasting something sweet for the first time. Probably. Uh and just like amazed. She's like, what magic's been cast on this? I, it's not from what some other world it comes from. What?
It
And just completely yeah.
it it is something that grows upon a tree. The
Tree.
sole magic upon it was the manner by which I brought it hence.
Tree. And she says it without any understanding of what a tree is, apparently,
Uh,
but she's
a
fast. Yeah.
like a mushroom with a large, thick, woody stalk and sprawling branches instead of a cap.
See.
And this is how those trees reproduce and spread themselves. The sweet taste brings animals and people who consume the fruit and then transport those seeds to other locations where they may take root.
Uh, and she nods with the nod of yeah, someone who connects those dots and can kind of nod. Again, the Deurgar of Emberhold believe everything is evil, and maybe you have with all these conceptions half expected her to like be like revolted by the idea of like oh your insects spread your food and like but she seems to be a little more enlightened than this and kind of nods with an understanding. And we'll kind of she'll say thank you. She just like she's astonished by the experience. Thank you. This is an exceptional gift. Thank you.
It is a pleasure and a privilege to be of service.
Tree. She kind of says tree, or kind of takes another bite and walks down the line. She kind of looks at you, Drycerin, and with a little bit more of a sort of a happy familiarity. These are people are also weird. She goes, "You're a strange sized dragon I met. My books don't tell of yours. I thought blue dragons had wings."
Just for fun, I'll explain in Draconic that I am dragon blood, not a dragon.
She'll kind of nod and she'll look to you all and say, "Are all of the creatures on the surface sort of half-blooded? Are there any true elves left, or are there any, or are they
Oh,
all interbred
No.
away?
no.
Oh, we're weird.
Yes.
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, no, there's actually lots of like elfy elves that are, tall and pointy and impossibly beautiful. Um, and there are dwarves and craghammer, and there are humans, and there are all sorts of creatures and dragons and some not so
Are
nice
the
things too.
are the dwarves of Craghammer as evil as my kin believes them to be?
No.
No.
I
Um,
fear that your kin have been ill-treated by circumstance and fate.
she sort of, my kin, and she'll kind of, you hear the hint of disgust as her own kin are brought up. She goes, "Bunch of fools and cowards." She kind of turns around and returns to her seat and takes another bite of the apple, and sits down. Um, and she gestures, and she gestures for you all to sit down. And you're gonna look over your shoulder to see not chairs, but a variety of ancient thrones that have been pulled out of perhaps the dragon's hoard for you to sit on. Um, like there's one that's like made completely of stone that it has like an embedding at the top where probably some great gem was meant to lie, and it's sort of half cracked. And then there's another one that's like made of like serpentine stone that is like embedded with emeralds, and it has like a snake head over, and like a variety of thrones that were probably meant for kings or queens or advisors of such in ancient times. And that is what they have here in the form of seating. And she waves to them as if this is completely normal.
You are very gracious.
And she nods with a look of totally thinking you're meaning like she's gracious that she's giving you somewhere to sit, not anything to do with the throne. Um, she goes, "Well, I'll admit your message, Yvaine, was was shocking. Um, it's not every day that a half Earth elf of Oracle at that arrives with knows everything about me and calls me to take up my throne. It was like a long night talking after that."
I can imagine. May I ask? I've heard you speak of your people. I've heard you call them cowards. Why do you feel this way?
Well, to start, I want to make sure my facts straight. This old one can't be bothered with the news, but I know enough, and he bothers enough to tell me what I think is the current news, so correct me if I'm wrong. My people, well, my father and mother, were controlled by an evil creature known as a beholder, and then were slain by a group of adventurers, and the city burned to the ground. And then my people took up the faith of an evil god known as the Crawling King, the creator of the Underdark, and the god of torturers and jailers. And they have since sealed themselves away in terror within what is that beastly place called Emberhold. It's been described to me some, a little bit, but not much. Is that generally the story? I have it correct? Am I missing anything?
that is
That
the
a good bit of
essence.
nuance. But yeah,
Very well. I've told it's important to have context before beginning debate. So we may begin there then. What about their story doesn't speak of weakness and doesn't speak of cowardice?
if I may, the thing that controlled your parents, I have had dealings with similar beings. I have seen what they can do to a mind. There is no weakness in being controlled by them. When something so impossibly, so much bigger than you can imagine, seeks to take your mind, they can be incredibly subtle. They read your thoughts at the deepest levels. They were not cowards. They were victims.
And yet you're free. You seem free. Or are you still under such control?
No. In order to get me free, it took an extraordinary amount of magical cleansing done at the exact moment of a particular astronomical event at a particular time of year. It was, I didn't do it myself. It literally took a god and a high priestess. And it was still a close thing. And I'm grateful to have it out of me. And I fought.
Maybe you should be king of them then. You're
No,
wiser, it seems, than them. You know more people than they did who could help you and free you. You seem more knowledgeable and wiser in such things. Maybe you should be queen.
no. I have another task, unfortunately. It is not my fate to be queen.
But perhaps you see my point. Whether you can or cannot, you found the way to free yourself. But my darling mother and father did not. And they had a whole city to take care of.
It is true, they went from being compelled and controlled to dying. Your mother died at the hands of the beholder, if I recall.
I was very young at the time. I don't recall the semantics. I was taken by Tal'Dorei. She refers to the dragon. We're getting his name for the first time. Theodrin. For when I was 6 years old. I don't remember who killed who or who did what, but
Good.
I remember the fire. I remember it was usurpers who done it. Maybe for the best.
No,
Maybe my mother and father died for a reason. Just as you're all guided here by your gods, perhaps these adventurers are guided down there by their gods. Wipe the slate clean, kill the king and queen, and displace the princess. Maybe Emberhold, maybe the job just needs to be finished. Give them a fresh start. Flood their lava flows.
Absolutely
Cast
not.
out the weakness.
No. No.
You look at me with such shock, but it was your people who came down and did this the first time. Did you not?
While it is true that folks from the surface were in part responsible for the catastrophe that took place, they were in part acting to seek the rescue of a sworn devotee of Bahamut.
They've taken a paladin of Bahamut, that's right.
And in the course of that, they were overmatched, overwhelmed, and acted as seemed the most expedient in that most dire of circumstance. And there was a cascade of problems. The tyrant that held your parents in sway killed one of your parents, and the surfacers the other. And in that void, the Crawling King saw an opportunity. He is one that fosters belief through fear, torture, and imprisonment. Your people were already insular by dint of whatever events took place in the distant past. They were held in mental bondage by a creature of immense magical power. And that was a field, a place that was ripe for the creation of chains, which the Crawling King, through his champion, forged around the necks of your people. You alone have the power to set them free. But it is not an easy path to walk. It would require change of you and change for them.
She'll look over her shoulder at Theodrin and say, "Do you know about the paladin?" The dragon's immense head just kind of shakes very slightly no. Um, I always wondered that. Why they came, burned everything down, killed my parents. Thought it might be just purging evil, or like you say, it was to rescue a friend.
I have met the person that they did indeed come to rescue and save, a paladin of Bahamut by the name of Kima.
Your
Maybe a
Grace, if I
persuasion check.
may,
Oh, sorry. Let's just do this really quick. Maybe a persuasion check, Ember. then we'll hand it off to Kira.
$21.
You see that this is important context that she has not had these last 20 years, nor has Theodrin had these last 20 years. The mystery of why Vox Machina attacked Emberhold is solved to her. But she looks, Kira, go ahead.
Oh, and she'll say, "Your Grace, if I may," and she'll gesture to the trident on her back. "I serve the Lady of Fate myself. And more things can be true, and more things than one can be true at once. Yvaine isn't incorrect. Your people suffered many losses and hardships and isolation at the hands of things out of their control. And you could also be correct. For whatever the reason, Vox Machina came to your parent city 20 years ago and upended your people's way of life. And in doing so, changed yours. And sometimes that is for the better. In the life that I had before this, my mother was in charge of people, much like we're asking you to take charge of Emberhold. And from her, I learned a lot of things. But the one that sticks with me now is this. Any people, anybody worth leading, they're not born overnight. They're made. They're crafted, so to speak. So, for all of the damage that has come to Emberhold and its people, and for all of the lives that have changed because of what Vox Machina did, maybe it changed you for the better. Maybe it turned you into exactly the kind of person that Emberhold needs. Not to keep them in isolation like they have been, but to lead them on a different path. Because you know what else is out there?
Victims or not, my people have been ruled by tyrants for I don't know how long, decades, maybe centuries. Victims or not, you really think they're not beyond their lunacy? They can be brought back from it. They're not
I mean,
centuries with their feet in the grave.
the Allhammer says they can be, so sorry.
The Lady of Fate believes they can be. And I think that as long as somebody believes that they are worth saving, that they're not beyond saving, then they can be. It takes
If I
work.
may, Your Grace, do you have hope for your people?
So not much.
But not none. Yes?
She kind of looks around at all of you as if quietly saying, maybe this conversation's changing our mind. I not none.
Where there is hope, there is an opportunity for change. Change is rarely easy, and the most important changes are never easy. But if done with care and with guidance and wisdom, and Ember will roll his eyes up at the massive draconic head, there is every possibility of a brighter future. And while I can't speak for any of my companions or any of our futures, if we surmount the days to come, I would consider it a honor and a privilege to call upon your throne in friendship and ask how I can be of service to you and yours to bridge the divide that has isolated your people and made them vulnerable to these tyrants and abusers.
He sighs deeply and crosses her hands and looks at you all and lets the ball roll around in her head. She has been raised by an ancient dragon, who probably takes a very long time to consider very simple things. And that is passed on to her, which is not necessarily a bad thing for a ruler. It takes time to contemplate decisions. And she looks at you all with deep consideration. You have brought context to a story incomplete to her, and with a confidence of hope in what could be. And you've given her much to think about, and yet perhaps more to discuss with you all. But for the time being, you are pursuing a very interesting line of possibility. We will end the session there. And when we come back next session, we